Throughout history, in every crisis, governments and systems do the same thing. They seize certain items, declare certain materials strategic, and bring the citizens' resources under control. Because these items are not only valuable, they also provide independence, and no authority wants independent citizens. Today, I'm going to show you that blacklist, but not with Hollywood-style golden guns cliches. With the real facts and the reasons. Because the real control doesn't begin where you're looking. It begins where you're not. First item, fuel, but not just gasoline. Anything that carries high energy density. 1 liter of gasoline contains 34 megajoules of energy. That's almost 40 times what a human expends over a full day. So 1 liter of gasoline can finish in 1 hour, the work you could finish in 40 days. This is exactly why governments seize fuel first. Look at history. The 1973 oil crisis. Venezuela, 2019. Sri Lanka, 2022. Always the same scenario. First stations are closed, then generators are banned. Then hoarding accusations begin. So why? Because fuel isn't just movement. It means thermal independence. With 1 liter of gasoline, you can get hot water, cook food, produce light, meaning you don't become dependent on a power outage. And the government cannot control people who are not dependent. What is the scientific alternative to fuel? Biomass and solar. But pay attention, biomass becomes illegal too, because cutting wood is considered a violation of forest regulations. This is where the real game is. Every resource left exposed in the system gets banned under the name of public safety. Second item, food, but not just meat and bread. Seeds. A seed is a biological time machine. From 1 gram, it produces thousands of calories. It multiplies in an endless cycle. And most importantly, it can be stored. Flour lasts a year, but a wheat seed lasts 10 years. And if you plant it, 1 seed turns into thousands of seeds. That's why throughout history, governments have seized seeds. The Soviet era, the Ukrainian famine, Holodomor, Mao's Great Leap Forward policy. Same logic every time. Whoever controls the seeds controls the future. Because a seed is freedom of food production. If you can produce your own food, you're not dependent on the government. You don't wait in line. You don't rely on ration cards. And right here, the era of seed genetics being changed begins. Hybrid seeds, the F1 generation, Terminator seeds. Seeds that don't produce a second generation. So why would they throw such a food source in the trash? Because when your seeds lose that endless cycle, you have to buy again every year. That's how dependency is pushed all the way down to the genetic level. So what will you do? Heirloom seeds. Unchanged seeds passed down from generation to generation. Store these unmodified seeds in plastic jars in a dark, cool, dry place. Because the seed is alive, it breathes, it absorbs moisture, it rots. Vacuum seal them, add a salt packet, and add silica gel. This simple chemistry extends a seed's life threefold. Third item, communication. But not just the internet and phones. Encrypted, decentralized, uncuttable communication. In a crisis, governments cut communication first. The internet is shut down, base stations are disabled, social media is blocked. Why? Because communication means coordination power. If people can reach each other, they can organize. If they can organize, they can form resistance. That's why Myanmar 2021, Iran 2022, Turkey 2016. Same scenario. In the first 24 hours, the internet is cut. So what will you do? Mesh networks, decentralized peer-to-peer networks. Install apps like FireChat, Briar, or Bridgefy on your phone. These send messages using Bluetooth and Wi-Fi direct, even without the internet. But watch out, the range is only 100 meters, so you need to form a chain. Each phone works like a relay. The message hops forward. This is based on the physics of radio wave propagation. Each device becomes a node. Signal strength decreases with the square of distance, but in dense populations, this isn't a problem. Alternative, CB radio doesn't require a license. Operates on the 27 megahertz band with a range of 10 to 15 kilometers. But watch out, governments may declare CB use illegal during a crisis. So use it discreetly, transmit at low power, and speak in code. Fourth item, water purification, but not just a filter, chemical and biological purification knowledge. Water is life itself. 60% of your body is water. If you go 3 days without water, your kidneys fail, your brain swells, you die. But dirty water kills faster. Cholera kills in 24 hours, dysentery in a week, hepatitis A in a month, and all of them are waterborne. That's why in a crisis, governments seize sources under the name of controlling water use. Wells are closed, river use is banned, rainwater collection is considered a hygiene violation. Why? Because water control is life control. If you can purify your own water, the system can't demand a water card from you, can't keep you waiting in line, can't detain you. So how do you purify water? There are 3 methods: physical, chemical, and biological. Physical, boiling. At 100 degrees Celsius, bacteria's cell membranes break and they die. But watch out, 1 minute isn't enough. As altitude increases, the boiling point drops. At 3,000 meters, water boils at 90 degrees, which is insufficient for some bacteria. So boil for at least 3 minutes. Chemical, chlorine. The hypochlorite ion, OCl-, enters the bacterial cell, oxidizes DNA, and stops reproduction. With a critical dosage, 2 to 4 drops of household bleach, 5% hypochlorite per liter. Wait 30 minutes, a faint chlorine smell should remain. If there's no smell, it's insufficient. If the smell is too strong, it's poisonous. Alternatives: iodine tablets, potassium permanganate, pink powder, 1 gram per 10 liters. Biological: sunlight. UVA radiation breaks bacterial DNA and prevents reproduction. Fill a clear PET bottle and leave it in direct sun for 6 hours. This is the SODIS method approved by the World Health Organization. But watch out, if it's cloudy, 2 days. If the water is turbid, first filter through cloth, sand, or charcoal. Fifth item, medications. But not just antibiotics, life-saving molecules. In a crisis, pharmacies are the first places to close. Drugs are declared strategic stock. Over-the-counter sales are banned. Stockpiling becomes a crime. Why? Because medication means health independence. If you can treat your own illness, you're not dependent on hospitals. You don't need a doctor's approval. You recover without permission from the system. So which medications are critical? Antibiotics, amoxicillin, respiratory infections, ciprofloxacin, urinary tract, intestines, doxycycline, broad-spectrum, Lyme disease. Painkillers, ibuprofen, anti-inflammatory, paracetamol, fever reducer. Antiseptics, povidone iodine, wound disinfection. Alcohol, 70%, protein denaturation. And most importantly, oral rehydration salts, ORS. Electrolyte loss during diarrhea and vomiting is deadly, but a simple formula saves lives. 1 liter of water, 6 teaspoons of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt. This mixture activates the sodium-glucose co-transport system in the gut, increasing water absorption by 300%. But watch out. Medications have shelf lives. Amoxicillin 2 years, aspirin 5 years, but they degrade much faster in heat and humidity. So store them in a dark, cool, 15 to 20 degrees, vacuum-sealed environment. Every 10-degree drop in air temperature doubles shelf life. Sixth item, gold and silver. But the reason is much deeper than you think. Governments throughout history have seized gold during crises. USA, 1933. Executive Order 6102. India, 2016. Demonetization. Turkey, 2017. Gold collection campaign from citizens. Why? Because gold is a store of value and the enemy of the monetary system. Even if inflation is 100%, gold holds its value. Because it can't be printed, can't be manufactured, can't be multiplied endlessly. That's why systems label gold a speculative instrument, tax it, even ban it. But what's truly valuable is silver. 1 ounce of silver is $25 to $30, meaning it's ideal for small transactions. Bread, water, medicine. In every hyperinflation in history, silver has become real money. Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, always the same. Paper money collapses. Silver becomes the king of daily barter. 7th item. Knowledge, but not just digital, physical. Governments can control information online. They shut down Google, block Wikipedia, censor YouTube, but you can't erase a physical book. That's why, before it starts, build printed libraries, medical guides, survival manuals, agriculture books, engineering handbooks, especially books like Where There Is No Doctor and When Technology Fails. They are encyclopedias of life without a system. But watch out, knowledge isn't just reading, it's doing. Learn how to start a fire from a book. But if you've never started a fire, that knowledge is useless. So try now. Build a blanket shelter, start a fire by friction, collect and purify rainwater. Because when everything started, you won't have time to learn, only time to execute. 8th item. Tools. But not just a car. Independent mobility capability. In a crisis, governments ration gasoline, close roads, set up checkpoints. That's why a motor vehicle doesn't give you freedom. It only works as long as the system allows it. Real freedom is the bicycle. A bicycle is the most efficient transport vehicle. You can travel 30 meters with 1 calorie of energy. In walking, you travel only 5 meters with 1 calorie. Why? Because the wheel reduces the coefficient of friction tenfold. That's simple physics. A bicycle doesn't need fuel. It's silent, repairable, adaptable to any terrain. But watch out. You must stock spare tires, chains, brake pads, because in a crisis, you won't find bicycle parts. The alternative to a bicycle is a horse. But feeding a horse means 10 kilos of grass and 30 liters of water per day, meaning the horse consumes more resources than you do. So it only makes sense in rural areas. 9th item. Weapons and ammunition, but not just for attack, for deterrence. Governments seize weapons first, after Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans, 2005. Police raided homes and collected guns under public safety. Result: unarmed citizens were defenseless against looters. Here's the truth. A weapon is not for using, it's for showing that you can. If a homeowner is armed, an attacker calculates risk. What is the cost of this robbery? And most of the time, if the cost is too high, they walk away. But watch out. Showing a weapon is far more effective than using it. Because the moment you fire, you create noise, draw attention, and run out of ammunition. So the strategy is visible deterrence. Warning signs in the yard, a silhouette in the window, a lock on the door, but never look rich. Because a strong lock means there is something valuable here. While you try to protect it, you turn yourself into a target. 10th item. Energy production tools, solar panels, generators, batteries. But watch out, governments may declare these licensed equipment. Why? Because energy freedom is system independence. If you can produce your own electricity, You're not dependent on the grid. Outages don't affect you. You don't stay in the dark. That's why off-grid systems must be installed before a crisis. Because after a crisis, sales are banned. Solar panel. A 100-watt panel produces 400 watt-hours per day, assuming 4 hours of full sun, enough for LED lights, phone charging, a small refrigerator. Battery. Not lithium, lead acid. Because lead acid is cheap, repairable, and recyclable. Generator. Not gasoline, propane or wood gas, gasifier. Because gasoline degrades after a year, but propane lasts forever, and wood is everywhere. And finally, everyone reading this list will think, stocking all of this is impossible. You're right. But the real issue isn't stock, it's knowledge. 1 liter of gasoline takes you 50 kilometers, but knowing bicycle repair takes you 1,000. 1 box of antibiotics treats 1 infection, but wound care knowledge prevents 100 infections. Real preparation isn't material, it's knowledge and experience. Because governments can control materials, but they can't control your brain. Ask me in the comments, which numbered item contains the most important knowledge? Or which stock strategy do you think is unrealistic? Because survival isn't a monologue, it's a dialogue. And the best preparation begins with thinking together.